Hey everybody, I'm back for yet another wine experience. This one is completely different. I know I say that often. This was completely different from our previous wine experiences in that not only do I take you to a less frequented region of France to get our grapes and wine, but the actual drinking and enjoyment of the wine is off the chart. And I warn you ahead of time, this is not a wine for everybody. What we're going to do today is go to Jura in eastern France. And we are going to drink something, a 2010 from one of the regions of Jura. We are going to drink from the region of Chateau-Chalon. And although in Jura, generally, you can use different white grapes to make your white wine. In this particular subregion, you're only allowed to use a grape, the name for which I will definitely mispronounce, so please forgive my French. Savagnin. 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 Uh, it's just a different grape, and it's the experience of drinking this wine. I remember being at a restaurant once, probably about 15 years ago. I had my first Jura of this style, and I was completely blown away. It's exactly like a sherry from Spain, and that led me to think, well, why don't we do a little comparison? We're going to take an actual sherry. This is a very dry sherry. They're all dry according to some. And we're going to compare it to this Chateau-Chalon from Jura. A couple of things are different, obviously. The sherry is made with a wine that has fortification, it has brandy added to it. This Chateau-Chalon does not. It is simply a wine. And the alcohol content of the wine is 13.7%, very much in range of standard wines, standard whites especially. And the alcohol content of the sherry is low by sherry standards, it's only 15%. But the point here is that you're going to get both a purely wine experience and a sherry experience. And I just happen to know that they're very comparable, especially on the nose. So I wanted to do a side-by-side tasting. So here we go. Yes, this has that very characteristic, almost rotten something on the nose. No fruit. It's an off smell, but it is wine. So let's see how it tastes. Very dry. Just the barest hint of fruit. Just the barest hint. Zero astringency. So it's quite fresh on the palate. Very, very little, if any, acidity. So that, as you know, is one of my things that I like in wine. It doesn't have to be there all the time, but this has very little acidity. Almost no legs, so to speak. But good for what it is. This is not really. I warn you. This is really not for everybody. My wife will not drink this, but it can be very good. With something that's very, very rich, for instance, something that's very fatty, fried foods, something like that. It could be really good. So I'm going to enjoy this, and then what I'm going to do is come back, and we'll try the sherry as a comparison. Hey, so we're back now. I enjoyed my little tasting or experience of the extremely dry, sherry-esque Chateau-Chalon. Let's see how it actually compares to a sherry itself. So this is just a half-bottle sherry that I picked up at the store. Very comparable nose. Very comparable, which is funny. The wine is more pronounced in that sort of non-grape, uh, not fetid, but off fresh smell. This clearly has a intentional sherry-esque smell. Little bit of the sea, a little briny type experience on the nose. That's very interesting. It's very good, very clean, not big and bold. The Chateau-Chalon was pretty big without any fruit. This is very light, with some of that brininess carries over to the palate. Uh, very interesting. You could almost put these side by side. The Chateau-Chalon I had chilled a little bit. This the sherry was at room temperature. At a blind tasting, you almost wouldn't be able to tell the difference in this case, except for the temperature. The nose is distinct, and this has a little bit of that characteristic sherry tartness. There's a little tartness there. The Chateau Chalon did not have that. So there you have it. We had a little romp to eastern France, and then a turn down to the southern tip of Spain, and we have a little experience with sherry and a Jura white wine comparison. These things both require their own pairing regimen. They're very distinct from a standard wine tasting, wine experience. So I just want to make sure you're clear on that. If you don't like dry sherries, you probably won't like the Chateau Chalon. If you've never had sherry, give a Jura a try, but be ready for a completely different wine experience than you've had in the past. All right, well, see you next time on our wine experience trail.